I was in 3rd grade, sitting in the cafeteria, when I died for the first time. Deathly allergic to peanuts, surrounded by 9-year-olds left barely supervised with a room full of lunch trays and chaos. You know how it goes. I don't remember eating it. I don't even remember what it tasted like. Just the sudden, awful stillness. I couldn't breathe. I hit the floor. People were screaming. And then, nothing. It went silent in the room. My eyes were locked on the tiled ceiling. White, sterile, humming with flickering fluorescence. I couldn't look away, couldn't move, couldn't even blink. It felt like everyone else had disappeared. I lay there for what felt like hours, unable to make a sound other than low grunts and wheezes. I was unable to move a single part of my body, no matter how hard I tried. Even my fingers and toes were locked into place. I remember wishing to die. I wished to drift off to heaven and be with my old dog again. To move, to speak, to be free. It's a terrible thing, how easily a child can come to terms with death. That's when he spoke. You are already dead. I felt warm breath on my left ear. Someone was lying next to me. I couldn't see them, but I could feel them, close enough for my skin to prickle, my hair to stand on end. Do you recognize my voice? I did. It was mine. I still couldn't move. My body spasmed in tiny bursts, every nerve screaming. I think I peed myself. I tried to scream, to cry, to do anything. There was a choked, childish sound, like someone trying hard to stay in character. All right, he said, stifling laughter. I'll cut to the chase. This is it. This is all there is. He paused, as if savoring it. Maybe not here, in this lunchroom forever. But really, this is it. He leaned in closer. I could feel his smile, even if I couldn't see it. You'll always want to speak, but no one will ever hear you. No one will ever see you. Your own personal hell, I guess. Dread spread through every part of my body. However, he continued after a few long moments of silence, I have a proposition for you. I didn't even know what proposition meant, but I had no choice but to continue listening. I can keep you here. Not in this moment, but in this life. You'll grow up, have birthdays, play with your friends, pretend this never happened. There was a long silence. I felt dizzy. On one condition. He finally spoke. When the time comes, I will come back, and you will have to give me an answer to my question. Another silence stretched thin and eternal. Why was everything moving so slowly? I can't be dead. I feel mostly conscious. Why couldn't I speak? Why couldn't I move? Suddenly, there was another voice. One from further away, maybe from the corner of the room. It was familiar, but it was older, more mature. It was low and quiet, but I heard it. Say no. Then came my voice again, calm, cold. You will have 3 seconds to speak. Say yes, and you will wake up. Say no, and you may stay dead. Yes, I shouted the second I could feel my throat clear. Sound came rushing back like a crashing wave. Chatter, trays clattering, footsteps echoing off tile. I sat up with a gasp, sobbing, clawing at the air like I needed to prove I was real. I needed to feel something. Anything. All around me, kids stared. Forks paused halfway to mouths, eyes wide. No one moved. What happened? I asked anybody who would answer me. A girl in my class blinked. Dude, you tell us. You were just eating and you fell backwards in your chair. Your eyes were closed for like 5 seconds. Then you shot back up all scared. You should probably go to the nurse. You hit your head pretty hard. No mentions of peanuts. No mention of death. No mention of the hours and hours it felt like I was glued to the floor. I must have dreamt it all. I made my way to the nurse's office. She called my mum to come pick me up and take me to the ER to check for a concussion. And a concussion I did indeed have. I never mentioned my run-in with my imaginary doppelgänger. No one would have believed me if I had. That is, until today. It's been 13 years now, and I've started to see him. For context, the past 13 years of my life have been hellish to say the least. I don't remember much from my childhood, only my parents fighting, divorce, and poverty. The week I turned 18, I moved out of my mother's house and into my own flat. I dropped out of high school when I was 16 and worked 2 shitty part-time service jobs. I never spent a dime on anything other than gas and the occasional McDonald's meal. I saved up enough for a year's rent on my apartment. I was so convinced that getting away would cure me. I would blossom in the real world. I would thrive on my own. I would create my own family. I would be happy. Every so-called real job I applied for turned me down. Every friendship or relationship cracked and fell apart before it even started. It all should have been a sign. I should have remembered what happened to me when I was 9. I should have carried that memory like a warning. But I didn't. About a year ago, I finally fell in love. I remember thinking, the only time I truly feel happy is when I'm with her. And it was true. When she came over, the apartment felt warmer. I felt warmer. There was this quiet hum in my chest that I hadn't felt in years. Like I was a person again. Then one night, she showed up in tears. Eyes puffy, shoulders tense. I felt that warmth drain my body like blood from a wound. What's wrong? I asked. You cheater! She screamed, shoving her phone into my face. On the screen was a video of me kissing another girl in a packed bar. I grabbed the phone with shaking hands. I've never... I've never even been to this bar. I've never seen that girl in my life. I love you," I pleaded, desperate. She didn't blink. "Are you really going to stand there and tell me that isn't you?" She snapped, jabbing a finger at the video playing on her screen. There I was. Same face, same hair, same clothes, same stupid little scar on my chin. It was me. But I had no memory of this. None. No. No. I wouldn't let myself spiral. I refused to gaslight myself. I may have been a heavy drinker, but not a blackout cheater. This wasn't me. It couldn't be. "That's not me," I said softly. She stared at me like she was looking at a stranger. "Fuck you." That was the last thing she ever said to me. She left, slammed the door so hard the frame rattled. She never came back for her stuff. Not the spare hoodie in my closet. Not her pajamas in the hamper. Not even her toothbrush, still drying quietly by the sink like it didn't know she was gone. I thought that was rock bottom, but it was only the beginning. After a few weeks of failing to pick myself up and get back to my life, I finally just got up and drove to my mum's. I didn't speak to her very often, to no fault of her own. I just didn't ever feel like talking to anyone. I felt like a burden on the world. My mum was happy to see me. She hugged me longer than usual and insisted I stay for a few nights. She made dinner every evening. We watched old movies, played cards like we used to, and for a brief moment, it felt like something close to peace. We had a beautiful, quiet little weekend together. The night before I planned to head back to my apartment, she turned to me on the couch and smiled. "I'm really glad we've started doing this every month," she said. "It's brought me so much peace." I blinked. That didn't make sense. This was the first time I'd visited her in over a year. Not because we were estranged. It was just hard. Emotionally. Financially. And I'd never brought anyone with me. Not once. My first instinct was worry. Maybe she was getting older. Maybe this was early dementia creeping in. "What do you mean, Mum? I haven't been here in a long time." I tried to keep my voice gentle. "But I think we should start doing this every month." She gave me a strange look. Half confusion, half concern. "What are you talking about?" she said slowly. "You were here just a few weeks ago, with that blonde girl. You invited her to dinner. You even showed me the ring you said you were going to propose with." She watched me closely now. There was no sarcasm in her voice, no trace of forgetfulness or confusion in her eyes. Just steady, maternal concern. "Are you feeling okay?" she asked, and I didn't know what to say. "Oh, yeah, my bad," I said. I quickly got my stuff together and left. These coincidences have been happening for 2 years. A Facebook account under my name, filled with photos I've never taken. Pictures of me smiling with strangers I don't recognize, at restaurants I've never been to, in cities I've never visited. Captions written in my voice, but using words I'd never use. Inside jokes with people I've never met. Birthday posts from people I don't know, calling me things I've never been called. And it's not just online. People at gas stations or grocery stores greet me like we've been friends for years. Hey, good to see you again. How was the trip? Are you and that girl still together? They smile like they know me, but I've never seen their faces before in my life. When the time comes, I will come back, and you will have to give me an answer to my question. The sentence rang over and over again in my mind. It felt like a dream, like words I had never heard. Why was this sentence consuming my every thought? Why do they torment me? Why do they hurt? Those words scrambled my mind for months. Months where I barely left my apartment, barely spoke to a single soul. Just me, lying in bed, begging for death with a dry mouth and an empty stomach. I stopped eating, stopped drinking. When I did go outside, I wouldn't look before crossing the road, hoping, deep down, that something would end it for me. But I never died. Every time, I caved. I ran from the oncoming headlights. I took a sip of water when my vision blurred. I forced down food when my chest started to tighten. It was like I was trapped in a body that refused to quit. A corpse pretending to live. I was dragging a dead soul through each day, and I couldn't stop myself. That's when I came to the decision I'd have to just get it out of the way. I went on a short walk around my neighborhood the night I was going to do it. The night I was going to end it all, once and for all. I touched the trees and breathed in the cold night air, felt rain on my skin. I walked back to my apartment in a daze. Every step felt wrong, like the air itself was pushing back against me. Something deep inside me was screaming, "Don't open the door. Don't open the door." So I didn't. I stood there, frozen in the hallway, key trembling in my hand. And then the door opened on its own. But not by chance. Someone was already inside. There I was, standing in the doorway. Same face, same clothes, same expression I thought I was wearing. It was me, staring out at me, from inside my apartment while I stood helplessly outside. Soft jazz music played from inside. It smelled like steak and red wine, like money, like luxury. Everything I had never had. The other me looked directly into my eyes with a smile spread across his face. I waited for him to speak, as he waited for me to. I finally caved. You was all I got out before he cut me off suddenly. I told you I'd come back for you, buddy, he said through a grin. Are you ready to answer my question? I was speechless. What was I supposed to say? How was I supposed to process this? I had just come to terms with death. Why must I come to terms with anything else? I stood there, stunned, every part of me locking up. My throat tightened. Words died in my mouth. I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. The jazz music faded out, swallowed by the silence like it had never existed. Only this time, in the stillness, I could see him, clear as day. "Let me repeat myself," he said. "Are you ready to answer my question?" I nodded my head to the best of my ability. I didn't want to. It just felt like I had to. Like there was no getting out of this. A slow smile crept across his face. He leaned in, so close our noses almost touched. I could feel his breath against my lips. Was it worth it? The only words I could croak out were weak, fractured. At least I lived. He paused, like he was genuinely considering it. Then, suddenly, he burst into laughter. Loud, wild, unhinged. It went on for far too long. Long enough to make the moment feel absurd, almost awkward. When he finally stopped, he stared into me with eyes that didn't feel like mine anymore. "I lived," he said, voice flat now. "You survived." Then he winked, a cruel, almost affectionate gesture, and without hesitation, he wrapped his hands around my throat. I didn't fight it. I didn't scream. I just let go. Let the breath leave my lungs. Let the world fade out. The life drained from my body, soaking silently into the carpet below. When my eyes opened again, I was back in the cafeteria. Same linoleum floor, same buzzing lights. Curled up on the floor, I watched my 9-year-old body convulsing on the tile. I tried to scream, tried to move, but all I could manage was a whisper. "Say no." It's all I ever managed to say. And still, without fail, the boy on the floor always says yes. Always. I've gone through this a few times now. Sometimes I think I've made it further. Sometimes I think maybe this is the time I break the cycle. But it always catches up to me. Right now, I'm recording this from inside my mum's house. It's warm, safe, smells like garlic bread and laundry detergent. I know what she's about to say. She says it every time, word for word. "I'm really glad we've started doing this every month. It's brought me so much peace." I hope you enjoyed the story. For more content, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Your support keeps the shadows dark. If you want more Sinister, links to my social media and Spotify can be found in the description, unless you're already there. Don't forget to sign up to the Patreon, where you can see all the content a day earlier, and an exclusive video every month once we hit 20 patrons. Until next time, keep your lights low, eyes open, and your doors locked.